School Board. We have a quorum and we'll just come out of closed session. With that, Philip, if you would give the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come and conduct the business of education in Blaine County. God, I ask, Lord, that you would give us all wisdom tonight with our thoughts, Lord, with our speech, and Lord, with our lives. God, I pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us. And Lord, that you would touch these that are sick and afflicted, Lord, amongst us. And God, Lord, we ask this evening, Lord, that you would bring health and healing, Lord, to all those, Lord, that are hurt. God, we give you thanks, Lord, for these that have come. And may the school system be blessed tonight by the actions and by those, Lord, to carry out those. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 13th regular meeting. Any modifications to the minutes?
Everybody good?
I'm
Good.
good.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Four.
4.
4.
For the next item is the attendance report. We ended April with 676 students, which is, 666 students, which is down 10 from last year, which is the 676 that I read. This is in many ways. This is the first year that I've been on the board that the number of students went up during the year. We started the year with 659 and ended with 666. So that's a very positive thing. Says a lot for the hard work that everybody's done. We have 326 in elementary and 340 in the high school. Next item is financial reports. We have a lot going on from an O&M standpoint at this point in time. If you look at our rolling forecast, it looks like we're going to exceed the budget, but the entire project for the elementary school is in there, and that won't all be accomplished this year. So we're very much on track to meet the budget. I want to thank everybody for that. The money from the COVID funds, there's still some discussions going on within the government as to how long that will be able to be used. But we've got some good programs to use the first two distributions and are working on the last distribution. With that, there was a requirement that a minimum of 20% of that go to remediation, which we think is a great idea. Any questions on the financials, anybody?
I don't guess we've heard anything from the forestry service just yet on that end of the year payment.
I'm gonna take a look and see if it's shown up yet. Usually about this time, we
Yeah.
see it, we've seen it in the past, but I'll just look at that.
Right,
I'm just
it's-
asking. I know it's probably still early.
Right, it wasn't booked last month, but.
Did we even have it in the budget this year as far as
Yeah.
revenue?
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel certain that we did.
We usually try to budget low on it,
I think I remember.
I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick.
It's the,
Kelly printed the report.
I bought the wrong glasses.
It's been an interesting year with all the changes in the way we've utilized the money on where we went to school and then the various COVID opportunities. Okay, I don't see it offhand. We'll let her take a look for that. Okay, the next item is the AP solar project. Mr. Butcher, you want
We,
to comment on that, or?
So we had had a meeting with David Cicerelli with Kratos Energy a few months ago, and there was a prevention really for public school systems such as ourselves to participate in any type of solar type program. And it was just something that we're looking at, not saying we're going to do. We're just trying to see what's available to us. They have worked out the details and regulations to allow governments and public school systems to now participate. So in essence, we can move forward with looking at getting cost and as well as what the benefits would be to putting solar arrays on our school facilities. I would like to ask the board to, if you would be so inclined, to go ahead and move to direct our folks to give Kratos Energy our AEP financials for the last 12 months, and for us to open up discussions just to see what are the panels.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing they're asking for
Yeah.
now is some input as far as what our energy costs are.
Yeah.
Do we just
And-
do that for, would that be just basically on the two schools, right? Or
Yeah,
they
I
want to
think
go look
just-
at this building or just?
I don't
probably-
know that this building, I mean, we can. I mean, you can definitely give them more. But like I said, they sent us about the generating the cash flow and also developing site plan as to whether it's going to be roof or ground mounted. Just to kind of see, what's the possibilities here for the years to come and what kind of payback that we could expect. Obviously, I'm sure you all seen in the first few years, you kind of pay for that. You kind of pay for that out of whatever dividend you would get out of it in harnessing that energy. But it may be something that we want to look at for the long run. It just kind of depends on the will of the board at that time. So. That's the direction I think we need to go.
Okay, Scott, you comfortable with providing that information to? Okay.
Last 12 months of power bills.
Yeah.
Just for the
Yeah,
high
we'll
school
have to-
building and the elementary?
We'll have to split it by site, but we've done that
Or
in
if
the
you give
past.
it to them, I'm for sure they can figure that out as well. So if you all
Well,
don't mind to work.
It has a meter number
Yeah.
on the bill
Okay.
that we can look at.
Mhm.
Okay, updates, transportation. I think we have a new bus on the way.
Yes, sir.
And
We'll give you all
what
a
color is
handout.
this one?
Pardon me?
What color is this one?
This is blue.
A blue one, yeah.
We're gonna make
Okay.
it blue. We got enough yellows.
Carolina blue auto.
This is a printout on,
Thank you.
you will.
Thanks, sir.
What we have on the bus.
Oh, this is a convertible. It's got convertible seats.
You see the
No,
price
it's
is a
a
little
Humpty
different.
Dump.
What I done
Oh,
was
it's
we
a
took things that
Humphrey
we
Dump.
don't
Humpty
utilize
Dumpty.
or need on the buses, and it dropped the price significant by close to $7,000. I am asking the board to revise and look at the vans. We could really use one more van. We're utilizing them very well with the soccer, the baseball, and if we had one more, we had a issue come up where we needed a van to transport children home. And these things come up all the time where they're repairing the bridges. So if we had an extra one, we wouldn't have to worry about getting so many drivers. We are having problems finding drivers to take to school, to class. It's not nothing to do with not wanting to do it. It's, a lot of people say it's to pay, but it's basically they're worried about the virus and getting sick and all this.
What
But
are you
it was-
having to do with the bridge weight reduction or weight limit on Walker's Creek Road?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
haven't
Even,
run it?
even a little bus, where they started repairing it, they had to remove angles and stuff. Well, when they did that, they started calculating it, which dropped it even below 4 ton. So to be on the safe side, we used a van.
Okay, so you're running that with a van?
Yes. We have 8 children there.
And we've also used these vans, I think, to distribute food, is that
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they've been a good buy,
They've
probably saved us
been
a
a
lot
good
of.
buy and a good thing for us.
Okay. I don't know, does anybody know what the availability of those vans are right now?
Can we find out?
believe we use them every day when Mike does it.
I don't see any sitting in
That's
lots.
been the best thing
It's-
that we've,
Had
as
it,
far as
yes.
transportation goes for sports and miscellaneous, those vans have.
That'd be
been-
a really good idea.
They changed the game.
Mike, if you want to see if one's available and get the information, and we will have one more meeting on this year's budget, and we'll
I
be
can do that.
down to fine tuning our money. If we have money at that time, and there's one available,
Right.
Mike could come together.
Sounds good. Only thing we're having a little issues with is parts. The pandemic had put a lot of big factories behind. So, but we have enough buses we can utilize and replace them as we need them.
How many buses are we running?
We're running 11.
How many buses do we have that are roadworthy?
17.
17. Plus the one coming.
Yes.
So that's 8.
So I have 18.
And how many are, let's say, versus roadworthy? How many do we have that are roadworthy but give you a lot of problems or down occasionally?
7.
7 of them. Okay.
We have 2 of the old Mercedes,
Yes.
Yeah, that's the ones.
and then you had several that had rust problems, but I think you've gotten rid of them, haven't you?
I've got rid of 4 of them, correct. I've got 4 more that's cats, the older models, like 2099s, yes.
So,
But they wasn't gonna give us nothing in trade on, so I hated to do it that way.
right. I mean, they were rugged buses, but like I
Correct.
say, they're 20 years old.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, as far as bus driver training, do you currently have any classes that's not been finished, or anything that's in progress, or?
Well, we're getting ready to advertise again, me and Lenore, for a summer class. And we're spreading it as much as we can. I put it on Facebook and word of mouth, and even the drivers are trying to help. Right now, it's kind of difficult to get
Might
people
be
in.
a great idea, and I've seen this in other counties, is to take a couple of those buses that we have that are, necessarily we don't run a lot, but if we could find a couple of places like in Bland and Rocky Gap, park them and get us some
banner.
signage made up to put on the side of those things and let people know that we're going to offer this class, and just kind of, so we can help you for next year, make sure you've got all the bus drivers you're going to need.
We do need some sub-drivers. The van, it really helped us this year with sports. As Mr. Eastman said, it's been a great thing for the sports. Saving fuel all the way around, driver fees, because coaches can drive, so it's really all around helps.
What's the passenger count on those vans?
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah, like I say, see if one could be butted, we would have to get it before the end of June.
You can't go higher than 10 because our insurance won't cover it.
Right.
Goes into a different classification. Okay,
Need more?
appreciate it, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, principals. Flip a coin.
I think Tyler went first last time. I think it's Mike's turn.
Nope. Beat him to it. Yeah, just piggybacking
Getting
off.
towards the end here, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
Next year's about,
And you
Moving
survived.
along.
You survived.
Moving along. Like you guys touched on, attendance, we're at 340 at the high school. We've got right under 60 now. I think we were at 60, mid-60s at virtual. We had a couple more kids come back. I like to think it was because they wanted to buckle down for their SOL review, but regardless, they're back. So we've got 58 kids that are virtual right now. We've had some things that transpired that kids needed to go virtual for other reasons than academics. So that number kind of fluctuates, sometimes day to day, but definitely week to week. Academic performance, we're hanging in there. Our SOL scores they're pretty good for the year that we've had, and we've got a lot of new teachers that are teaching new subjects, and so we'll finish those up. It goes all the way to the end, so we've been pretty pleased with that. Denise and Karen, that's the glue that holds it together. If we didn't have Denise and Karen, trouble as far as testing and the hall. Some key events, of course, we're remediating for students that fall within the window for a retake. We've got a lot of kids that, 399s, 397s, right there at that 400. So we're scratching and clawing to get those kids where they need to be. Miss Tiller and Miss Trail and all of our folks that are doing stuff after school, during school, whatever it takes to get the kids the hours in it. And they've done that all year. There's nothing different than what they have been doing. Of course, planning for summer school and what that is going to look like. Mike and or Mr. Grimm and Miss Radford and I and everyone in this room really putting together what we need to do and getting that plan moving forward as far as transportation and how that's going to look for the kids and how many teachers we have. And to a close, and we should have something ready to present to parents and you guys very, very soon. Hopefully by the end of this week, I think we should have something that we can really stand on and feel comfortable with. Of course, last week we had prom and after prom. I don't know if you saw the pictures, man, the kids look great. Miss Trail and Miss Julie Bailey, they led that up, and it was wonderful. I just don't know how to put it. You see all those little girls and guys in their ties and hair all dolled up, and they just look different. You know? Like, who are you?
Sometimes you don't recognize them, right?
Of course, Miss Nikki.
Myers?
Nikki, that's what I call her. Yeah, Miss Myers, Miss Russo, Miss Hall, they all pitched in for that after prom. It was, I'd never had after prom at the high school before, but it was excellent. I didn't make it 8 seconds on the bull, but it was a good time, and I think the kids enjoyed it as much as they could, So we were pleased with that. Miss Weichel and her team of seniors putting together all of their senior activities coming up. Miss Weichel works her tail off. She's like the Energizer Bunny. Mm-hmm. It's always something, and she's on it. And she keeps me on my toes. Denise and Karen and everybody. She's wonderful to work with, and the seniors are extremely lucky to have her leading up that entire week. Graduation, baccalaureate. We really gave the decision to the seniors on what they wanted to do as far as the location of everything. So we put it to a vote, and everything that we're going to do is outside at the football field. Senior awards, baccalaureate, and of course graduation. And we'll have all those. We have the dates and times. We just need to put it formally together and get it out to the public. Miss Parker did on Facebook, but something from the school and get that rolling. But Miss Weichel's been tremendous in that.
How many, what's the,
5,000.
5,000, so we'd be
For graduation.
Good shape, good.
But now
Good.
for the other, it's, what did he just reduce it up, or increase it up to? We're fine.
Okay, yeah, like
We're fine.
250 maybe?
Outdoors, we're fine.
Good.
And that's the main reason the kids wanted to.
Yep.
I think we had them up to 2 tickets or 3 tickets for indoors, and they immediately shut that down.
Right.
They want, and I'll let Charlie speak for that, but I think the majority.
As long as you got the weather covered.
Yeah.
Right.
And y'all got that taken care of?
Charlie's got it.
Weather plan in action if it's not possible to have it outside.
Well, just don't allow anything different. Just
Yeah.
make sure it's in good weather.
We'll go wet.
Buy
It's
big
fine.
tea.
Sports and athletics activities. Right now is baseball, softball, track, soccer. Kids are at Galax right now for those baseball and softball deals, and Miss Morgan's leading up the track group. This is her first year doing track. Just mimics a lot of cross country, but I think she's learning there's a lot of different little things that come with track. Coach Hart's helped her out a bunch, and Miss Mustard to get that transition to be more smooth. The transition from Coach Malamachi from basketball to soccer is trying to get me to learn backgammon. I guess he's doing the best he can. He's enjoying it. Coach Shirey is helping him along, and we're extremely lucky to have those guys with that group of girls. They work well with them. And we're making a ton of improvements in our soccer club or team. We're getting better, and that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. 2 weeks ago or so, Coach or Mr. Mead, we were allowed to compete as an independent for football only for the next 2 years. In reality, it'll be 1. So what that means is we got to remove all of our district foes and keep our out-of-conference schedule, and then be able to add on teams that are more competitively equal to who we are and what we do. We cannot compete, the only caveat to that is we cannot compete at the postseason level, but that's not the focus right now. So we thought we had a lot of it lined up already, but we've had some teams back out on what we've planned. So we're working with the VHSL to get the word out, and we're willing to go anywhere. Coach Reed's, wherever we can go to play, we'll go. So we're currently working on that, and hopefully we'll have that done before the end of the school year. That's our goal, is to have it in writing so the kids can have something to see, and when they're training in the summer, know what they're training for. And that vote was 7-0, so we were extremely pleased with our district's decision to let us do that. Facilities, of course, working with JDM, it's constantly making improvements here and there, and they do the best job they can. I think like every other working unit, you've got personnel issues, you've got things that come up, and it just doesn't work as quickly as you'd like, but they get things done in a timely manner. And we appreciate Sharon and Mr. Melvin and what they do to make the improvements to the school. We've got some things not as large as Mike's or Mr. Grimm's elementary school tackling, but we're making improvements as we go and doing the best we can.
Is the sound room starting to move forward?
So we met with Mr. Dotson and Mr. Newberry and Kara, or Miss Weichel and Miss Leftwich, and a little consortium there, Blake and myself and Jake from JDM. And Mr. Newberry's got the whole thing planned out on what it should look like. Mr. Dotson's got the whole other thing planned out on what that should look like. He's got the 15-year plan, and I appreciate it. You don't like to bottle those types of people up. They're big thinkers, and you let them think big, and you roll with it. So we're interested to see what that'll look like. We've got some different ideas how we can add on to the Mountain Home Center and make that more of a usable piece there in the bottom section where the parking is. And Mr. Dotson's got some good ideas with the church that connects the buildings there. So he's coming up with some good stuff, and I think it all connects with what we're trying to do with Miss Cole and robotics and our recording studio. You can mix and match a lot of things with that Mountain Home Center. So it's just interesting. So we're pleased with that. Of course, we do our normal renovations in the gym. I think Curly set that up for the end of June. They'll redo the floors and of course all those yearly things that we do. Other than that, we're just trying to plan for what we can offer as far as new electives and different things that we can do for the kids. And hopefully we've got something put together that they'll enjoy and claim. So
It
right
sounds
now-
like you've been able to come a long way heading back towards normal. I know
I
it'll
think
never
so.
be,
I don't watch it on the news, but I mean, I'm just speaking for working with Miss Brandy Webb and Mike and the nurses. I mean, COVID's, it's got its little waves here and there. We've got a couple different scenarios that are going on right now, but I like to think we're out of the thicket, So we'll see. We're planning for normal. Sports are planning for normal. Whatever, if we got to wear a mask, got to wear it. Let's roll. But as far as what we do day to day and how we attack each day, that's hopefully going to be normal. And we're planning on that, banking on it. About sick of this.
Okay, anything, any questions?
So how far along are student schedules?
You know what? I'll have to get with Karen. She streamed, Denise, of course. She streamlined it. I mean, we had kids in there, I don't know if this was the first year we did it, but they're all doing their online registrations. I've got a couple kids who are kicking me on email asking when they can get in here and do it. But we're moving along. It'll just be interesting to see how we have to backtrack if kids, don't perform or don't come to summer school if they're invited or don't finish. There's a lot of asterisks, and that makes it difficult on Denise and Karen because you just don't know. It's
How do they
can't really trust kids.
view we've got the Region 7 Virtual Academy. Are they aware of what the opportunities are at that academy, and are they looking at that in their scheduling, or how's that all rolled together?
Help me out, Denise. There hasn't been anything from the virtual academy on our sign-up sheets. So, as we get more info on that, we can incorporate that into what the kids can sign up for.
It's mostly
But we've got a basis, we've got a baseline. And
It's
if we
going
need
to be
to
offered
alter,
through
we'll-
the vendors. So Edgenuity and those types.
So as we make change, there will be changes. And I mean, that's just part of it.
Oh, this will
It's
be
a
a very unique year because essentially the breadth of what they can apply for from a course standpoint is going to be much larger than it's ever been before. And especially at the high school, they can have in-house class, a virtual class, then an in-house class and a virtual class, or
Right.
they don't have to choose one direction or the other like they do in the elementary school. So
When will we start asking, when will kids be started to ask if they're going to go virtual next year? I mean, elementary will go, if you're virtual, you're full virtual. For high school, you can do,
6
Some
different things.
right.
is that all? Just six?
Well,
Well, you've got virtual.
it's a lot.
I mean, you've got WCC,
Right.
you've got Tazewell, you've got the governor's school, you've got,
Yeah.
you've got,
I think once we get a good baseline of after what summer school gives us, I think we'll really be able to make a decision then on what we can really offer the students, because we will need to backtrack on some. That's just the reality. Is kind of like buying a car. You gotta walk out when you need to, and some of these students will need to retake some of these courses, and there will be several, and we've had those conversations with each student, and teachers are aware, and they preach it too. There will be some backtracking, but that's okay. That's where we're at, and that's okay. We can work with it.
It's happened before.
Yep.
Every year.
Right.
Every year.
Any other questions for me?
You were talking about JDM. I want to ask you a very straightforward question.
Sure.
And it's yes or no. Is
Sure.
your school clean?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Grimm.
We need to make sure that JDE has a representative here at the monthly meeting.
They promised us that.
Thank you.
Good evening. Current enrollment stands at 335, the same as we were last month at this time. What I have going around to you right now is our attendance trends over the last 3 years. You can see we still trend well above the previous two. I'm sure virtual Wednesdays still play into that to a positive because it's really good attendance on Wednesdays.
I'd say so.
Yeah, so it keeps a positive trend going right there. We currently have 63 students as virtual, which makes up about 18% of our in total enrollment in the building. Those numbers have stayed pretty steady over the last couple months, with just a few temporary quarantines here and there, which not really have made any impact on the student body. Key events going on, obviously you're aware we've been doing SOL testing since April 29th. We expect to get through the bulk of testing this week with the 21st. PALS testing began on the 19th. It's been a little bit of slow going because I'm using some of those PALS and Title I tutors to assist with SOL testing, which only gives them the afternoon to get through those. We are just now, I believe, finishing up our kindergartners for the most part, and then obviously getting all the virtual students before we go into the rest of the student body. Hoping to see some bigger gains this last couple months as we did from the first semester, obviously, because we've had more appropriate instruction over the last little bit of time and more time with our students. We had an opportunity, thank you, Nurse Muncie, to do a commitment to graduate picture for our kindergartners. She set up a little photo booth so that each of the kindergartners can have an opportunity to get that picture that then they can use, the parents mostly, could use again 12 years later when they graduate in 2033, which would be ironically the same year I get to retire. It's just what it is. So I feel really old now. But then we'll be actually sharing those pictures with the parents free of charge via Dojo, so they get a digital copy of it. We're not going to print them out, but we are going to share them. And I think you took actually several pics of each kid. Yeah, I mean, it was high dollar stuff going on there. It's pretty impressive.
You have background and a little background.
Oh man, she had it all. She had it all. I was like, what can I help? She said, get out of the way. I said, fine. That's almost a true conversation. Almost. She did not use colorful words. So for kindergarten registration, for next year's kindergarten class, my goal was to get about 2/3, hoping that we would have somewhere around 55 students. As of tomorrow, we will have 37 students registered for kindergarten. For May, that's, in my book, really good. If we get 18 more students, that's a really large, good-looking class for kindergarten coming into the next school year. So I'm pretty excited about that. On who gets which kindergartner, mostly because I asked them this year to sit down and actually screen the students, see what pre-K style skills they had coming in, and they got to build that little bit of time with the students, about an hour, which really will benefit our kindergarten camp because they've had one good experience, and then we'll have another good experience here in late August before they start school. So pretty excited about that. Miss Muncie again, gosh, it's your night.
Wow.
Can we turn the camera towards her? Is helping to lead up our Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Pennies for Patients fundraiser, which has been extended till May 21st. So we're pretty excited for the funds that are coming in through that, continually reminding students. Miss Radford's STEM Up program that we're happy to host at the elementary school with some high school students will run through the 13th of this month, which is like tomorrow. Wow. Oh, yeah. I'm not Wednesday yet, is it? I'm already moving on. So, and we're winding down the year. Pretty excited to do so because I can tell that there are several tired faces in the building. I think everyone in the elementary school is eager for a more consistent routine, back to 5 days and full days. There's no doubt about that. Like Tyler said, if that has to be with masks, so be it. We will find a way to make it happen for our students so they can have as normal lives as possible, and the parents can send the children back to school. So strategies moving forward, we are continuing to pack up rooms and prepare for what we expect is hopefully a small project, but could possibly be a very, very big one, that actually touches about 95% of the rooms in our building this summer, with hopefully some painting, some little bit of remodeling in some of the spaces, and then go through. So teachers, we've been bringing boxes in from everywhere. They may say tater tots on the side, but please understand if you see a box that's got instructional materials in it, because you just can't buy enough boxes sometimes. So we're doing everything we can to get ready for summer, and I keep having to convince teachers, yes, they're going to tear your room apart and then put it back together again before September 1st. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's okay. It'll be an exciting change and nice to have constant temperatures throughout the building for sure. And then the only other option I had asked the board to help us accomplish was the piece I sent about possibly the keys, if there were any other things. I know we're asking for a lot right now, especially in the building, but there could be some consistency. My key ring is about yay big, and I carry the most essential ones only. But, you know, it would be nice to be able to have the safety and security of knowing I can get into the room I need as I grab the key instead of fumbling through at times. I'm pretty sure I could go through a door if I needed to help a student out or a teacher out, but I wouldn't want to come to that. So, and I know that's something you're aware of and we've talked about in the past as well.
We're going to talk about it in the O&M.
Okay, so any other questions?
Is your long distance fixed?
It is. After about a 20-person team harassing Chantel, not Chantel, it's
CenturyLink.
CenturyLink. We got there, yeah. So, yeah.
Are you guys going to do sixth grade or seventh grade orientation to the high school?
We are.
We're locking down a date. We believe it's going to be the 24th, but Mr. Purdue's putting us, he's shooting me some dates. So I think they perform. We use it as a recruitment tool for the band as well. So we hope to be Monday the 24th.
Yeah, the idea there,
Penciled in.
everyone's done with testing at that point for SOLs. We didn't want to interfere. If one student can't participate because they're back for an SOL, that's really not going to be fair or equitable. So we're hoping to get past that. And that last week is a little more chaotic anyway, so there'll be one more activity we can sneak into the day.
I ask you the same question I asked Mr. Eastep. Is your school clean? Yes or no?
Typically,
Yes or no?
yes, since I already said typically. So I think I have some staffing inconsistencies at times that immediately have an impact upon our building. And then those are extending into my night staff that is going to be changing out here very quickly for, I think, the 9th time this year. So actually, it might be an exaggeration, maybe 5th. But yeah, typically
Is
we
that
are.
a part what we may have to take
Our
back?
day custodian can be phenomenal.
Yeah, they've had a hell of a time keeping personnel. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ms. Hopkins, Director of Curriculum and Online Education. I think everybody's very interested in seeing where we're at and how we're moving forward here.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Hopefully you got my report from last month. Most of, at least administrators, Mike specifically, has been involved in what we've been doing with online instruction. So last time I was asked to give a speech, I guess in March. They said keep it short for today. So I sent you some information in board docs earlier, so hopefully we can go through that. On the 20th, I met with Virtual Virginia and Canvas. It was a weekly statewide meeting. And then on the 26th, participated in the SUIT meeting, the West Virginia Public Education Consortium meeting. Basically, the extent of that meeting was meeting with the superintendents and looking at what the last meeting will be June the 21st. I'll tell you some highlights from that, and specifically for our administrators and teachers. They're looking for hot topics, and since in the previous years, schools have provided hot topics, and so there's probably not going to be a lot of hot topics in the schools this year. So they're looking at some other things to bring to the table this year. And a couple I was definitely interested in, and that was teacher performance, the new student growth models. I don't know that our principals have had training in those yet. And the Virginia Math and Pathway Initiative, have we seen those yet? Have you? So I think that's something that we'll be looking at for next year, and hopefully our administrators that we want to share information with our administrators on. And get on board over the summer with those things. The next thing we purchased was Lucid Education. I put that in your packet. I wanted you to see that. That's a platform that we're going to use for in-seat students. Some of our teachers have been on board. Mike has gone through it with us, and Denise has helped get us on board. I was going to tell you, Mike was added to the Lucid Chart, so there's 3 different systems to that, Lucid Chart, Lucid Platform. We've just been having tons of meetings, so, and then we have picked 2 teachers from each school, so we're gonna train the teachers. And then I've asked our online providers, so right now our online providers will do what hopefully are really trying to bend over backwards to make sure that our in-seat students and our online students, that it's cohesive. So our online providers, I hooked our Edgenuity with Lucid last week, and so I think our online providers are also going to participate with Lucid. I think it's something our teachers will like. It's not hard to use. It's just one added tool. It's not something they have to do. It's $500. Angel has been a part of that training, and we're trying to get mostly our English and math teachers. In Mike's school, he had, I don't know if your teachers have been a part of that yet, but Mike has been a part of that training. And then Denise set up the Google Suite for us and everything on our end as far as what we needed to be able to load that software. So we're ready to go with that. We're going to kick it out to our teachers to train the teachers before summer. So that just happened. Denise added everything on the 5th. So the customer service manager, these are his words, she was fantastic. So I think it took a little bit of time, but we got that done on the 5th.
But before you leave that, if you could also help us a little bit with the background. Let me kind of tell you, we started this school year not knowing how things were going to move forward with the COVID and whether we were going to even have school, everything being online. We started hybrid, we went to 4 days, and we felt that our teachers would be responsible for both in-house and remote.
Right.
Which they have been for this year.
Right.
Now, this year is fast coming to a close.
That's right.
Then this Region 7 Virtual Academy came together very quickly, and we decided as a board to participate with the other divisions in this. So our teachers will not be teaching remote next year.
That's right.
So when you're talking about this, I'm a little confused as to where we're going with this, because
This is just a tool for our teachers. Some
for
of the
in-house
others,
teaching?
yes, for in-seat students. This is just a tool for them to be able to use. Some of the other counties in our region were already using Lucid, so it was something easy for them to be able to use. In our board office to be able to use it, there's 3 different parts to it: Lucid Charts, Lucid Platform. Our math teachers, they're already used to using Google or whatever platform they're going to use. They can pop this up quickly in their classrooms. It does it for their in-seat students, not online students.
Okay,
That's
now
for
you
our
said you were coordinating this with Edgenuity.
So
but that's
what we
an
wanted
online.
to make sure is that if our in-seat students had an option to use this, then we wanted to make sure that whatever provider we went with, our online students also had the same thing.
And
So
these are students that would be using Region 7 Virtual Academy?
That's right. And so this was something that we already signed a contract for, so we wanted to make sure if they're transferring back and forth, or at least transferring at the end of the semester, if they were used to seeing this for online students, then we wanted our in-seat students to see the same thing. We just wanted the continuity there. So,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yes.
You following that? Okay.
Is this a whiteboard?
Okay.
Is this a whiteboard program that you told us about, Ms. Radford?
It's not really, it's for their Chromebooks. It's an interactive. that they
Okay.
can use.
I'm trying to connect the dots here, and I think we called it something other else the last time we met, so I guess that was the
Now,
disconnect.
inclusive.
It's a program that the classroom teacher can use now.
Kind of like the
And
interactive
And
notebook,
it
what
works
you were
right with the
talking about.
Chromebook.
Similar. It can
Okay.
be used for an interactive.
And we got it for $5,000 for the year, which I thought was a good price. Plus, we got 3 months free out of it. But this is something that'll be for our classroom teachers. This is not something that they're going to be used for virtual. They're not doing that next year. This will be part of, or there's something to use a classroom, will hook right into their Chromebooks. I think they'll really enjoy it.
And it'll be something that we can use here in the central office as well. The next piece is that we're still meeting on April 28th with Edgenuity. And I'll just kind of go through some things that we've been meeting about to get to that final piece about where we are with the virtual academy quickly. The 30th, just so you know how many days it is, on the 30th, it was again virtual Canvas, Virginia Canvas and Leadership Institute. And then that evening, Denise and I met with Matt Hurt to look at assessment platform discussion. We use Performance Matters now. You used to hear of Interactive Achievement. We moved to Performance Matters, and we're looking at Mastery Connect. That'll probably be the next step. Denise will maybe touch on that later tonight. No? Okay, well, that's just something, it's in your packet, some information on that. You also have something in board docs for you to look at later when you have time. I didn't want a PowerPoint for that. Eventually, we'll be moving in that direction. All districts will have to go there. It takes time, and Denise will she'll take the lead on that, but Matt called me today and just said, where are you all and what are we gonna do? Performance Matters is really pretty useless, I think. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but our teachers could really only use it for benchmarks for the most part. I think our teachers use Interactive Achievement a lot more. Performance Matters, do you agree with that? We don't use Performance Matters that much, right? And it's costly, and so all of the schools in our region will be moving away from that as an assessment model. So the key is, are we going to be moving next year and trying to run 2 models, or are we going to wait and do another year? And so Denise will lead us on that. And I had this is part of a curriculum team that we were able to choose, and I had Kara and Angel sit in on those meetings, and I think that they said the same thing. Performance Matters wasn't really anything they could do or use. It really wasn't anything helpful for them, but hopefully this Mastery Connects, it has a bank of tests that we can buy, and out of the gate, even if we have to purchase more banks of tests, it'll be less expensive in the long run. It's just that the upfront man hours is going to be a lot. So I don't know. Denise will let us know where we are with that and when we want to do it. It'll be difficult for Matt Hurt, who's running our region, because he's going to have to run benchmarks on 2 platforms for a while. And eventually, our goal will be to have, and that's what I've been doing with some of our other people in the region, is to just have our own benchmarks from our own teachers so that we own it no matter what platform we use. So we own our English benchmarks, but we don't own anything else. And then finally, on May the 4th, so I had asked our principals to choose their providers, and I think both principals decided to go with Stride, which is VAVA, and Edgenuity. And so then we just worked with other superintendents and tried to determine where we were as a region on what we were going to do. On May the 4th, a new document was submitted as far as what the providers were going to offer. So it keeps evolving a little bit. You have a copy in your folder of that document. And on Friday, we all have to decide this is where we're going. So this was the newest document as of May the 4th, which was just late last week, on what each of the providers have changed. Every time we go to them and say, look, this is what Edgenuity is doing, or we just met with Edgenuity last week and said this is what Stride's going to do. And I will say that our teachers have been participating in those meetings as well. Our Mike's had his English, Debbie Blessing and Sherry Havens at every meeting. At the high school, Angel and Brooke Hall, sometimes April, we've had English and math teachers, SOL teachers at those meetings, so they've been great to at least have some input on what they would prefer us do. Even today, I called Matt to say, Caitlin, who was over the academy, I called her yesterday and said, what's the deal with Stride? I heard they aren't going to match the Virginia scope and sequence. And Matt had heard the same thing, so I called Dr. Graham at Bradford, and he said that's not the case. They are. He used them last year, because I was really leaning towards Stride. I thought, when Laura and I talked, we were both leaning towards Stride, which is VAVA. They're calling them VAVA now. And our principals were saying, we'll let the parents choose. So this is the latest document. I gave you the pricing information as of today. My recommendation moving into this meeting is going to be keep Virtual Virginia for our top students in case, and Tyler mentioned course lists, and I'm glad you asked the question about scheduling. I want to hit that as well. For the administrators who participated in the meetings, they have a list of courses from those providers to be offered to our students. You also have those in your list today. We want to throw those out because it's not just for remediation. It's for, as you mentioned, Mr. Shepherd's a student at the high school. Specifically, it's most important for high school students. They could take an online class with their NC class. So we want to make sure that's on the schedule, and if it's not, it should be. What I would recommend, we make a decision by the 14th, which is Friday. I talked to Mr. Mead about it today. We don't want to just drop the ball on Virtual Virginia because we've used them. Our students don't traditionally do well in Virtual Virginia classes, but our most gifted students might do. We don't want to just take that off of our course listings. We want to offer Stride classes or VAVA classes to our students. And then Edgenuity has, well, obviously Stride has been in the business longer than anybody. Edgenuity has a credit recovery program that isn't offered by any of the other programs, so we would like to offer that as well. And Edgenuity has workbooks and other things that would be more helpful for the elementary students, so we want to make sure that they have that option. Elementary is a little more, it's going to be more constant because they can't come back and forth, but high school students could have the option of any of those classes, Edgenuity or Stride. And that's no different than our kids who are in the library taking, just ready to offer them those classes. Contracts ready to go by this, on the 14th is when we're to make the decision, and then they'll send the contracts to us.
Now, what grade does it change from to a semester type program?
So what grade does it change to a semester? They both, Virtual Virginia is the same as we've always been running Virtual Virginia. Both providers are going to follow our schedule. So, and that's going to be the same for all Region 7 schools. So in elementary, they're going to follow Mike's schedule for his semesters at the end of the semester for him. And they talked about that. For both partners. But then the semester, our ending date for this, they're going to follow our calendars exactly. And the same is true for the high school. We've asked them to go in for the whole.
But I thought most of these courses were on a semester type arrangement on the high school. It's
Yeah.
not where
Same.
we have a total year, they have 2 classes in a year.
Yeah, it would be the same process we follow, kind of like the governor's school. If it's.
But on the elementary, it's not a semester situation with them. It's a, so what, does it change in middle school? Where does it change?
No, I
I
thought
would
Mike
think
wanted a semester,
6
if he
to
wanted
12,
to
there's
get
a-
him back at the end of the semester, that they could come back to NC.
That's what Stride told me. Edgenuity said any Tuesday, any Wednesday, any Thursday, any Friday. They were willing to make changes because their pacing would be lockstep with ours, for the most part. It would make more sense at the 9 weeks to do that because that's when our benchmarks take place to ensure things have been taught. But Edgenuity, for us, looking at it instructionally, was an all-round better fit for the way we instruct within the division for students to be either in or out one side or the other. They start in person, face-to-face with us and move into Edgenuity. It would be much more seamless one way or the other. Stride was a little more confined and had different kind of start dates in place for what they told us, and just had much more difficulty answering any question we had.
Now, my understanding, they said that they would maintain the normal student-teacher ratios. Okay, so if, depending on how many students you put in this, how can they have a class just for you?
They won't.
It's not just for,
So how can they match your schedule if they've got classes from students from half a dozen schools?
I imagine they're using different start dates throughout this nationally or state, basically, for students in Virginia.
like, right now we use ed options for our we have some high school students that we have put in ed options or ed minimum, whatever you want to call it. So we actually fit in their start date and their end date. So the teacher just starts on that date. They work with students everywhere.
Right, but I mean, in elementary, they're gonna have a class of, say, 15 students.
So what they probably aren't gonna tell us is that the teacher at Edgenuity may have 30 students assigned to them at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And because all of the content is built on a platform system, the teacher can have 30 students who are all working on different things at the same time. And the teacher is responsible for making sure that they stay on track, get the progress, keep the content moving forward, and are performing. So, which is why it probably is, they're seeking people, because that's difficult to do.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Now, at sixth grade, do these go to a semester program?
Well, they can go to semester program at the elementary. So, I mean, they can come in at the semester. What the idea is that at the elementary school, Mike can say, I want him to be able to stop at the semester or come in at the semester. Or he can say, I'm willing, I mean, they're flexible enough to say, I want them to come float in at any time at the end of the 9 weeks or whatever that might be.
So what kind of, on the elementary where you're doing the full day with the remote, at what points can you make decisions to leave or return?
For both programs, at this point, as of May the 4th, in this last document, it would be a conversation with the administrators at Bland and people in the partnership. And if we both agree that a student would come back into the program, then should something happen, then we would agree to that. But up front, we would have rules to say, we want them to come in a semester, like certainly at the high school, we would want them to come in a semester. Or if Mike says, I'm willing to take this student, or somebody got sick and I want them to go into your program for 2 weeks, or whatever it might be. So we don't want to be so rigid that we can't use it for somebody that, let's say, is homebound and we don't have a teacher and we want them to use that program for something.
So how would that affect the price of it?
So, like something like that, a 2-week period, they would bill us separately.
Okay, so it would just be broken out, you'd get whatever percentage of
Right,
the
prorated.
yearly price, okay.
So how do you see the process moving forward? I mean, we're getting ready to, this year's over, we're getting ready to register everybody for next year. How do you see the process at the elementary school doing it first up, I'll say maybe up to 5th grade, as to how do we sign everybody up and how do we know who's going virtual, who's going in-house?
I'm really hoping the Region 7 Virtual Academy administrators are able to reach out to us eventually and let us know what they're going to have to help us recruit families into this program. So that each division, including each building, doesn't have to do that themselves. And any kind of in-hand pamphlet type materials that we can give to families who might be interested in this.
So you're talking materials.
Well, yeah, because they're going to have to see something.
So we
or at
have
least a
that.
link.
We can have that today. It's in your
Virtual
material.
Academy director also has a principal that works with them too. So they'll be able to give you a lot of the information you're looking for. I mean, I just got, I don't know if you all have seen this or not, but the Virtual Academy enrollment criteria and eligibility requirements.
Right.
We've kind of asked, and pretty much straightforward, but the thing that jumps out to me is all students must have access to reliable internet. So,
All of that material is in your, we have that. Each of the programs put that together for us. Mailing, it's a template that we can just change for, like we're to our own students. Denise is going to put something online. I don't think we've had time to do that yet, but we've asked Denise to put an application online for virtual students. Well, just that green sheet.
Can't hear you.
Were we gonna just use the green sheet that the kids use for the application?
I don't see,
You're talking about the demographics form, right?
Right, just a link, that's what we've been asking.
I don't see why not. It's the easiest way. But this criteria needs to be followed too.
Right.
I mean, it's been a very difficult process to get where we are because of the COVID, and it wasn't the path we wanted to take. But we've known for years that we could, I'll say, have greater offerings and do more from a remote standpoint, especially in high school. And it looks to me like, I mean, with everything we've got here with Region 7 Virtual Academy, with Whitfield Community College, with the Governor's School, with other CTE classes, our high school students can have a tremendous offering if they want to go after it.
I think as of, frankly, on the 4th, we received that document to say, this is really, this kind of Essex document, this is really what each of the providers have agreed to by this point. And then we got the costs, the pricing, and then I was able to talk to Mr. Mead today, and we're sending it on the 14th. We have, if we are in agreement to say that these are, we want to go ahead and go with all 3 of these providers, we're ready to go, and I've provided you with documentation on, just so you know a little bit about what each one of those providers do. I won't go into detail here, but they do have, if you just look at that, users for Edgenuity, there's a file on your computer or on your board docs for Edgenuity and for Stride or VAVA. You're going to start hearing it called VAVA. It went from K-12 to Stride to VAVA. It's pretty exciting. It's been pretty exciting. I talked to Superintendent Bristol, Dr. Berrigan today. He's going with all 3 as well. And you also want to keep in mind this is not our main reason, but you want to keep in mind that we will have to at some point decide, and it needs to be pretty quickly, how many students, because that's a part of the cost. That will have to be a board decision, but are we going to accept non-district students? Now, the counties who have accepted non-district students and tested this year, I don't know all of them yet, but the ones that I've talked to so far, I was hesitant about that because of SOLs. Radford's a pretty small county, but they do well. Obviously, you know that they received a lot of money this year. Today, when I talked to Dr. Graham, he said in the reports that Matt sends us every day that those non-district students are going to help them. Now, that's luck of the draw. I mentioned to him, Mr. Mead's concerned about Carroll County, and you know, it was 20 years ago, but it's something you'll want to consider. It's a substantial amount of money. We'll have some again. We'll still have some money from COVID, but I would definitely put it on the table if I was looking at the
Just to kind of, let me state it in the way I understand it so that hopefully it'll help other people and you can correct if I'm confused. But non-district means these are students that do not live in Blaine County.
That's right.
And they may not even live in Virginia. And we're allowing them to be counted in our numbers. And as a result, we get funding because we have this head count, which is in the range of $10,000, $12,000 a year, depending on how you want to figure it. So you think, well, that's great. We bring in 100 students. We get $1 million. Life is good.
Yep.
On the other side, what happens if they all tank the SOLs? And then we lose our accreditation because our scores are so low. And
that's what happened in Carroll County.
right, and we have very little control over where these students are coming from, what their environment is, how are they doing. So you're kind of throwing the dice on this thing in order to bring money into the school district. And it's probably not as bad as the way I just portrayed it, but there is a fair amount of risk to it. The other thing that we need to talk about is, in talking with other boards, they're not just going to open the doors and tell every student you can do what you want.
No, Mr. Mead said that he mentioned the rules for the virtual academy. There are rules for the virtual academy.
Right, there are rules as to who they'll accept, but there are also we need rules
We need our
as
own
to
stuff.
who we're going to allow
Wow.
to do it. You know,
Pretty much. Here's a bullet, this is open. Students must be on track for respective grade level and in good academic standing as determined by the homeschool division. Data from the 2021 school year will be taken into consideration when making a determination on eligibility for the virtual academy.
and I think those have to be definite rules
So
that
you're
we
gonna-
establish.
And we
When I-
also have a
when-
line for,
When I read that, I look back and say, Mike, is this student going to make it in a virtual academy? And Mike will probably be able to tell me straight up, yes or no. I would like to see more get your kids back in school, to be honest with you, but
Well, I think from an opportunity standpoint, I see this as an opportunity more for the high school students.
sure.
Yeah, for the
but-
additional electives.
It can't be a program they use to cop out. You know, I'm just, I don't want to come to school in the afternoon, so I'm going to go virtual in the afternoon and basically not participate. So we've got to make sure that this is well managed. But, I mean, it can be a tremendous opportunity, and getting the workload off our teachers is
On
gold.
the virtual part.
So
I think
we're-
we have the rules already established. We have our governor's school rules and our rules for dual enrollment. So we were just going to use those rules with our virtual academy rules.
students.
We've reached out to like parents that are homeschooling in the county and told them, because this would allow them access to for the schools, sports, proms, different things like that if they're participating.
Well, I think that has to be a conscious decision we make, because they get the advantages of homeschooling without the cost of homeschooling.
Right.
Plus, they get the opportunity for their child to socialize, play sports, be in different clubs,
Right.
participate in social events,
I could really use this line.
and basically that they can totally control. So I'm hoping we, as far as getting people back into our numbers, it would be nice if those people came back into our
Right.
numbers.
So Laura included that in her last homeschool letter, information about virtual academy, but also some of our homeschool students are participating in K-12. So that would be an easy rollover.
Right.
So I think if we could offer, once we sign these contracts, if we could all get that in the course listing. Also, if there's any new courses at the high school, we'll want to include those, at least look at those here, if you could get those to us, Tyler. And the one thing you asked about scheduling, Mr. Butcher, is that, at least every year since I've been here, or most years since I've been here, like last year, Miss, Karen, she did the registration online with computers with those students about March, somewhere around March. The holdup comes when it flips, when the school year flips. So keep that in mind. That wasn't the issue. The students all had their registrations in. That generally is the case about this time. So I want to make sure that that's not.
Okay.
As far as signing the contracts with the providers, what, other than the cost per student, is there any other upfront costs, or as far as when we sign the contract?
We've paid the upfront costs.
We do, yeah, we do, right?
We paid it.
Well, we paid to be part of Region
Part of, that's
7.
part of the money
And that
for
was the-
being,
that was
with the
cover the
Region 7,
director
right?
and-
Right.
Okay. That's
Director
all.
They
or
have the
staff.
contracts with us.
We've already done that, so
Yeah.
cool, great, okay.
So-
We just have to sign the contract to say we have chosen these 3 providers.
Okay.
So are we going to go back to students?
Yeah.
So now we've got high school students. A majority of them's figured out what classes they're going to have for next year. Okay, now we got this whole nother set of classes that we're going to say, hey, listen, now you're going to be able to take these classes too. So we're going to have to go back out again and say, hey, listen. do you
Those are
wanna sign
just
up?
virtual classes.
Yeah, so we're going to have to offer them to them again to say, hey, students, listen, we've got these virtual classes you can sign up for as well, so that they can have those options. Is that correct?
They do that anyway with governor's school and.
WCC.
Vocation?
Yeah, at the first,
So,
One of the
Okay.
options you're going to have now is you might have an in-house class, and you can say it's the same class, but I'm going to take it virtual rather than in-house.
yeah.
that's going to affect us big time. Good.
Right.
Here's what I'll say is, if, I'll just check with Tyler, yes, we do that with New River with Governor School and all that. But if they've already signed up for classes and they weren't aware of that, then they will need to be, those providers will be.
Right.
I think communication is
Instead of
just
taking
key in
another-
all of this.
Another streaming class. or
Just for us
another-
to know what's happening at the virtual academy, but also with Karen and Tyler, knowing, exactly make sure our kids have the knowledge that these courses are being offered. I think this is great. I think we can squander it in a heartbeat if we don't allow our students to participate in it and let them know about it so that they can sign up to make
Market.
those decisions for classes that they didn't even know, or ones that they're interested in but aren't currently on our course offerings.
And one of the things to keep in mind is, and everybody's in the same boat in this, and this is where the COVID money gives us an opportunity. Normally we would have to say, okay, we've got right now 123 kids virtual. If we're going to have 123 kids virtual next year, or 250 kids virtual, whatever, we'd have to look at and say, well, we're paying for these virtual classes. We're going to have to reduce in-house in order to recover that money. What we're actually doing in this coming year's budget, and this is a key point, is we're acting like we're operating in the old mode. And we're covering the cost of the new mode with the COVID. This is a year where you work everything out, and next year's budget,
It's gonna be
hopefully we'll have additional knowledge that we can budget appropriately. This
How many's
year,
actually going to be virtual? Yeah.
right,
we
this
don't-
year, we did not have the knowledge to budget knowing what's going on because it's being created on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, with this virtual setup, if you don't do the work, if you don't keep, I think, C average, and you don't attend, then you will be contacted as a school, and then you'll be pulled out. You can be pulled out of that virtual academy and sent back to school. So it's not going to be like it was this year.
And we want our students to still take advantage of dual enrollment. I mean, that's definitely the best track for for students who are top juniors, for students who are top juniors and seniors.
Absolutely.
And I will mention one more thing. We had parents contact me last week or the week before. So some of our students missed out on dual enrollment, dual enrollment history this year because of COVID. They just weren't sure about taking dual enrollment code. So Mr. Mead has agreed to allow those students to take that. So we'll have a little bit of, that'll hit our budget a little bit, but it shouldn't be significant. So we'll allow those juniors to repeat that class again as a senior. So they need that if they're gonna get an associate's degree. So we will allow those juniors to take that class. It just will not count as another high school class. So that'll be that'll be 0 credit in Power School for those students who've already passed the class. It's only going to be through New River.
Okay.
So, and if they haven't done that, we need to check those juniors who should have enrolled in dual enrollment history and get them in there for their senior year.
I mean, everybody's got to understand, we're truly blazing a new trail, and what that means, you don't know what the next move is, so you cut the next bush down.
Right.
And that's the way this year's been. But I think done correctly, this will be a tremendous opportunity, especially for a small school district like Plano.
Right.
Thank you.
So the application for the virtual academy for our students to attend it, is that something that we're going to host or something other that the virtual academy is going to put together?
I've already put it together.
But we still need
We
it on our
we can
website.
add stuff to it, but this is a template for us.
When can we approve that? Or when can we look at it so we can, is that going to be coming forth in the next couple of meetings or?
I don't,
We probably need to approve it as soon as possible so we could,
Okay.
I can give a copy to each principal so they can kind of look it over to know if a kid comes in to sign up for it, they're not going to follow some of this criteria.
Because by our next general meeting, school's over.
right.
So we could get it out before school. That way, if we could enroll as many kids that desire to take any of those classes or look at that, then we kind of already have a head start.
Mr. Budger, what we asked for was just we already have paperwork for students who enroll in school. That's all we need on our website because then it's going to be a link to what we have through the region through the academy. So all we need on our website is student information so that we can gather that. It's gonna be a small number so that we can follow up with students and get them in the hands of Mike or Tyler.
Okay.
So, I mean, initially.
But they gotta follow the requirements.
Right. And that's all linked right to the virtual academy. So initially, all we need is a tab on there that says, and Denise is wearing that. She's working on
Yeah,
it.
but I
She can
think what's
read.
What Ms. Butcher's asking for is, what are the requirements that we're putting in place, right?
Yeah, because I think we need to say as a board, hey, listen, these requirements are good. I think having our principals and some of our faculty to look over this to make sure this is the requirements that we want for our portion of the virtual academy. I'm not willing just to hand everything off just to Region 7. I think we need to have our local control as well. And that way we can get this thing started and before the school year ends, particularly let these students know and families.
That requirement needs to be on the webpage.
Yes.
Right, so Scott, if you could have that for the next meeting. And Nora, if you'll put that as a requirement in the minutes. Okay, Supervisor of Special Services.
Technology.
Technology?
Technology's
Oh,
next.
okay, technology. I didn't mean to jump over.
Evidently, you wasn't loud enough.
That's right, yeah.
She was coming up to the microphone anyway.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. She's seen the list.
You've seen the agenda.
As Mike and Tyler said, testing is going pretty well. And we have tested on some Chromebooks this year, so that has helped. We didn't do many because I wanted to kind of, make sure that the bandwidth was going to be okay. That the kids, because it is a smaller screen, but we went well, knock on wood. We haven't had too many computer glitches. Most of it's been, a couple of them have been the computers just shut off. The kids are more patient, I think, than we as the adults are, because they just sit there and we panic. I mean, we're like, oh, we got to get them back up and going. But it's gone really well at both schools. I watch both schools to make sure everything is okay. Chromebooks are pretty well, those that we've had. They're all repaired. As they come in, Mike and Jonathan are doing a really good job keeping those repaired, cleaned up, updates done on them. So that's been a really big help for me. Speaking of Mike and Jonathan, I talked with Chris Hankel, and he came over and sat with them and helped them with the camera situation, getting them familiar with it. Because I was doing testing, but you go ahead and, so he worked with them, showed them his tricks that he had when he was here, and also showed him a couple of other things. He also works for the Advanced Network System, so he kind of showed them some things that they're doing, because Jonathan wasn't on board yet when they started putting the equipment in and that, so we've got that going. And as Mike told you, when they start the packing up of the classrooms, Jonathan, Mike, and I are going to go around and get the technology equipment. We're going to unplug stuff, put it in bags, keep it all together. I went through consolidation when we did this. I don't.
Right.
So we're making sure everything this goes in this classroom here with this computer here. So that's what we're planning to do as soon as school lets out and we can get into those classrooms. We're going to try to put trash bags over the projectors that are hanging, maybe cover the smart boards, figure out a way to get those covered too, to just kind of keep the dust and stuff.
Yeah, they're going to have to saw the walls and
Yes.
run conduits through the ceiling in every classroom, down every hallway. So
Right.
it's going to be quite a mess.
What about the power? Do we have any idea, like, are they going to be taking the power down?
It shouldn't be for any extended period of time. We're not taking the power out that's in it. We're putting a, say, a parallel power system in there.
Okay.
When they go to hook it up,
It'll go down.
they'll have to shut it down, but that'll be for a short period of time, a few
Okay.
hours.
Now, the only reason I'm asking is because when the power is down, our internet is down, because it goes through our firewall. So, and we're doing 3 weeks of summer school, so I just kind of.
Not there.
Want it, no, but it'll affect the high school.
'Cause
for
the internet will affect
if
the
the
high school.
power's
If
down.
we shut the internet down in the elementary school, it shuts the internet down in the high school?
Yep, because they run as one
Okay. I was
wide
not aware of
area
that.
network.
So when do you think that power will go down, though?
I don't know. We've got a meeting Monday to try and put together a schedule, and I should know after
I just
that.
didn't know how early on
I'm
that
only
would be.
worried about the 3 weeks that we have.
Summer school.
I don't think
Summer
you're gonna
school.
have it
I
before
don't-
then.
I think we can probably put it after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
just
after
make
that
sure
would
that,
be-
you know, that you, somehow or another, that they contact Miss Tate and everything. They know to let you know when that power's going down, so.
Yeah, because also,
9:30, I think. I'll send out a reminder tomorrow.
because if we don't, Advanced Networks too may be knocking on everybody's door wanting to know why stuff is down at the elementary,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right, yep.
So I've talked to Mike about it, but he wasn't for sure about that. He kind of told me the same thing you did, Mr. Shepherd, so. And let me give you.
We communicate.
I asked Mike, I mean, I thought, you're the principal, you should know this stuff.
Yeah, that's Mike.
Let me give you a little on Mastery Connect is what it's called, and Interactive Achievement and Performance Matters. 20-some years ago, we went with Interactive Achievement. Interactive Achievement was created by 3 teachers in the state of Virginia, and it dealt with Virginia SOLs. There was nothing else in it but Virginia SOLs. It was around forever. I knew it inside and out. If you asked me to get something out of it, I could. The problem with it was they never kept it updated. So it was slowly losing its power, I guess is a way to put it. But it was purely Virginia stuff. Teachers could go in and create questions. They could create tests, chapter tests, quizzes, anything they wanted. And it was also where our benchmarks came. CIP information was in that as well. Well, they decided Power School actually bought Interactive Achievement, which is the Performance Matters side of it. That is a huge company, and they take the sections of it, kind of like with our student information system. Everybody in the country has Power School, one way or the other, Performance Matters or their student information system. And then they tweak it for each state. Okay, like we have a page in our Power School that is geared towards Virginia. That's where all my data that I pull out comes from. I started training on Performance Matters a year ago. We had to connect the two. Power School student information and Performance Matters. We had to get all that connected, which took weeks. But when I finally got into the package, even myself, I was like, oh, this is way too many steps to get to where you need it to be, even on the admin side. Just to turn on permissions, it took me like 5 steps to get where I needed to go. In Interactive Achievement, it was like 2 steps. So I asked them if they could show me the teacher side of it, and when they showed me the teacher side of it, I was like, this is going to be, the teachers are not going to want to have 10 steps to get a test made. But that's what they were going with. Well, they ran into issues. Matt Hurt worked with them. We got all the CIP data is in there. Then they started running into issues with it working with our stuff. I mean, we were getting emails all the time about how test questions were wrong. And they just weren't wanting to help us or help Virginia. You know, it was kind of like, here it is, let's work with it. But anyway, Matt sent out an email about Mastery Connect, and I did a webinar on it last week. And as far as the admin side of it went, I was like, okay, this is similar to I mean, it's not interactive achievement, but it was like 3 steps to get what I needed out of it, compared to Power School being 7 different steps. And Angels looked at it some. It's just more teacher-friendly, and it's what we will use.
Now, is this
for-
something we're gonna have to make a decision on, or how?
No.
Okay.
This is just, I just wanted to give, it's what Jill was talking about, and I just wanted to give you an overview of what. But anyway, it will, the teachers can make quizzes, they can make tests, kind of
So
like we
who
did.
gets
and
to
then
pick?
Probably me, because I'll be
Denise.
the one that will be connecting it to everything. But I just felt like when I looked at it, and I just wanted to give you an idea, that's what it is. It's for our benchmark testing.
The financial information is in your packet.
So,
Meaning financial information, meaning the cost?
Yes.
that's already, it's in my budget, Mr. Shepherd. If we don't go with Performance Matters, it's in my budget to buy it. So, but I mean, it's gonna be our benchmark software is what it is. And then those teachers can use it for quizzes, creating tests, things like that. They can pull the data out, look at the data, things like that. I just wanted to give you just a little overview of what it was, so. But do you have
So
any other-
Mastery Connect's what we're gonna be using.
Mastery Connect. I'm assuming, what, if Mr. Mead and Laura and the principals and all that are okay with it?
Miss the principals?
I'm fine with it. Because I was frustrated with Performance Matters, and it takes a lot as far as technology and that's concerned to get me frustrated. So, I mean, not anymore. The older I get, the more I just want to. Yeah, so, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it was. So, do you have any other questions for me?
This summer,
Yeah,
that room in the very back to the left, where
Yeah.
the books and stuff are,
yeah.
if we can kind of, I know there's some computers and a bunch of stuff in there,
A lot of screens.
screens.
Oh,
and-
we just moved those in there for now. We're
But there's
planning
some
to do-
old
Where are they-
electronics,
where
but
are
then there's
they-
also a lot of old
Oh,
text.
yeah, I've
What-
been taking care of the high school. We've got a basement full. As soon as school lets out, I'm getting somebody to
Are
come and
those
pick all that up.
leaving, are they junk, or what are they?
Yeah, now, there's some that aren't. We just didn't have any room at the elementary to put them, so I had Mike bring them over here.
Right. But I'm
The
talking about
kids.
like the books and everything, we probably
Oh,
want
the
to get
books,
it. I know, but that's, as you're doing the electronics, when you're cleaning that up.
Oh, and you want me to do the books too?
No, Well, you can have Hagen do it.
We want you to throw everything out.
Yeah,
I
just
can
get rid
throw
of it.
everything out.
Except the
I can
trophy.
do
Except the
that.
trophy.
Get me a dumpster out.
That's what I'm
Throw
saying.
it out.
That's what I was gonna say, get JDM to bring us a dumpster
Put
up
it down there
here.
at the end.
Take
Now,
it
the
out.
computer equipment, I have somebody come and get that and recycle,
That's fine.
Right.
because
that's
that's
fine.
what, I've done that for years.
But like I
Yes.
said, we
They
have way
come and
too
pick
much
it
old
up.
computer equipment sitting around.
Do what?
We have way too much old
Oh, I've
computer
already
equipment
got,
sitting.
I've had Jonathan and Mike working, I've got it all in the basement now in the high school. We've got an inventory of it, we're ready to get rid of it, I'm just waiting till school lets
But when
out.
you're doing it, like I said, let's
Yeah.
let's get a dumpster
I
for,
got that for that.
and then work together. We need to get rid of a bunch of those
Have a
textbooks.
work day or
Have a
something.
work day, whatever.
Yeah.
Get rid
You
of
just
it.
let-
And make it,
Textbooks where they go.
does it matter? I don't know.
They're outdated, aren't they?
I mean, if you want to send them
Some
to
of those
Uganda, send them to Uganda.
lower level, changed to the preschool or something like that.
I don't know.
The
Take them to the
church-
prison and give,
Was it 2 years ago, we asked teachers to come through and go through all of it, take what they
We've done that a
wanted.
couple of times.
As far as I know, whoever
ask
wants
again.
it's theirs.
Right.
They
But it
used to
needs
come
needs
over
to be
years
gone.
ago.
yeah, we want to clean that room, that way it's actually usable for
And
something.
we've got so many areas we need cleaned up.
Yeah. Just, I'm not saying you do it, just when
know,
you
it's
get
just-
ready to do it, I
Be
was like,
mindful of the things you put in that.
So
Yeah.
nobody bothers your
Well, I
computer
didn't have
stuff.
anywhere at the elementary to do these other computers that are back there, so I just told Mike to bring them over here until we get everything together, So, any other questions for me?
How's the Chromebook orders going for next year?
Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Chips.
Yeah, it's not so much, I'm having troubles getting parts for it.
Yeah.
Because they're not being made, so, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Who
you.
who was that?
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Bradford?
Well, get him out of there.
He's gonna drive her home.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm gonna be really quick, tonight.
Thank you. Well, that's great. Go ahead.
Two things. One, I'll just touch on STEM real quick. We are finishing up on Thursday. We are getting ready to send out the registration link next week to go ahead and register students for camp, even though camp won't be until July. We wanted to do that before they got out of school. So that's coming up here in the next week or so that we're going to be doing that. And the only other thing that I have an action item tonight on surrogate parents. And that's it.
Tell us about that. What is that?
Okay, I actually have, and I will go make copies for you guys. I printed this out. It's a fact sheet. I hope I
Which is
didn't draw
email.
on it.
We
when I-
don't have anybody.
It's a fact sheet about what surrogate parents are. Basically, when we have children who, for whatever reason, the parents are not available or accessible to us, we have surrogate parents who step in and fill that place, like in IEP meetings or things like that, is what it's for. But I have this, and I'll make copies of it. I meant to do it before the meeting and didn't, but I'll go over and do that, and then I'll give this to you, and then you'll have, it's a little question thing that answers questions about what is a surrogate, what are their responsibilities, that type of thing, so that you have it, okay?
Does that happen very often?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not often. So. Okay, and that's really all that I have, unless you have questions for me.
Nope, sounds
No.
good.
Good.
Do we have any public comments?
No, there's nothing back here.
Did we have any
Any
online?
emails?
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mead.
Okay, I'll be brief because if not, I might lose my voice. I'm anxious to get the project started. It's been a coming together of a lot of different people. I think we've already got alignment now of the right people to get the projects going and get them started. And I'm anxious to get it. I know you are. So we'll meet Monday and hopefully get a schedule. Yeah, we're dwindling down to the end of the year. Our kids are getting ready to graduate, and hopefully they've passed over a barrier now into a land of hope. You know, I really think without hope, you don't have much to live for. And these kids have worked hard this past year. And times looked like it wasn't going to happen, but it's going to happen. So you're now into the land of hope. Sent to me on behalf of the baseball coaches. The mother gave me permission to share this with you guys. It's Mrs. Holbrook is sending the praises of Chris Jackson and Dylan Jackson and the kind of job they're doing, not only teaching baseball, but teaching life skills to these young men. I'd like you to look around the room. There's been a lot of work done in here. A lot of safety hazards has been fixed. You don't see cords in the corridor now. We've got exit lights up. You actually don't have to share one receptacle with 20 people. So we've had some more receptacles put in. There should be, I think, a total of 7, maybe 8. So that's been a huge improvement here. The lighting in here has been really good too. It's a tough time this time of year for central office folks. We're doing a lot of different things, and be patient with us. If we don't get your stuff right when you ask for it, we will, but it is a tough time of year for all of us. Again, I thank teachers and principals and students for all the work you've done this year. The beginning of the school year in September and where we are today, it's mind-boggling of everything that we've got done. So tip my hat to all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is student representatives, but let me say something there. We've got an action item for you also on your Constitution. Would you rather do this at 2 different times or do it all at one time?
I think it'd be better to table that until the next meeting, because the Constitution and bylaws understand it.
Okay, the Constitution part of it, okay. Okay, so if you want to address the board then, the two of you.
Yeah, I'll talk about that, because with scheduling and everything, it's been chaotic to get the
Right.
stuff in line up.
But if you just want to address the board, just go ahead and do that now if you'd like.
What's it?
It's your time to speak if you want to. If you want to. If you have anything. If you don't, you don't have.
I do have things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You play a ukulele?
Yes, sir. Played for a couple of years now. If you want to go ahead and give your verbal report before I start.
Sure. So I just have a brief couple of things that I want to mention. For last year football season, we had one pair of jerseys, which was bright orange. And it was suggested to me that we get a new set of jerseys, basically meaning that we keep the same style, but we have away jerseys this time. Because the more we wear that one jersey, the more it's going to get torn up, ripped, and sooner or later we're going to have to buy some new ones very soon. Some suggestions that we had for the jerseys was white and navy with orange pants for our away games. And that would be, for 40 of them, I was told that'd be an estimate for $2,300 if we can fit that in the budget.
It's for 40 sets.
For
For
40
40
jerseys.
uniforms.
Is that just top?
I was
That's-
just told the estimate of a number.
That's
It
cheap.
could be for both top and bottom.
It's pretty cheap.
That's what I was thinking.
Tyler, we talked about money that was in the activity fund. Did you get a chance to look into that?
No.
Yes, for planning for purchases like that, we're not really prepared to make those types of purchases just yet. Those, we've got.
For this type of thing, just so you know, what we would do, and we can look at this, and, we're getting towards the end. Sometimes if we got a few dollars left here and there, we'll pass them to the activity funds. We actually don't buy, the school board does not support, one team over another team, that type of thing. But we can give money to the activity fund, which then, I'm not trying to discourage you in any way, but what I'm telling you is, that's the man you need to be talking
Yeah.
to right there.
Yeah.
Check that price
Best
too, 'cause
friend.
that's-
Best
that's-
friend.
Right here.
And
That's like $60 a uniform, and that doesn't sound quite right.
She's
So
got
it's- but I
experience in
mean,
that stuff.
I haven't
So-
seen any figures on it.
Okay.
That sounds like Jersey.
Yeah.
Right.
Anthony.
But I mean, what you're doing is the right thing, because we really didn't have that on our
Radar.
horizon. We can look at that and see if we can get some money over
Yeah.
to Mr.
Because it's
Easton.
been,
And
they've
then
been,
you gotta get it out of Mr. Easton.
yeah.
yes, sir. And yeah, again, I was just giving an estimate.
No, that's fine.
No,
No,
that's
you're doing the
good.
right thing.
That's
I'm
good.
not-
Thank you for
And
letting
they've been
us
short
know.
on ticket sales, for
Right,
all
yeah.
sports
I
and
got
stuff.
one
so-
last thing, and it's about the weight room. All sports use the weight room, for bettering themselves to be stronger, quicker, and faster. And I would like to mention that our weight room gets dirtier almost every time the football team goes in, because we use it quite often every day, Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
Uh-huh.
And if we were to touch a bar or a weight, our hands would be covered in dirt, and it gets disgusting after a while. It's extremely unhygienic. And I was wondering if we could have a way where we can have people come in and clean it, because we'll pick up all the weights and stuff. We just need it to be disinfected.
Who normally cleaned it, Mr. Mead? I thought it was kind of the coaches and the,
Yeah, that was,
That
really
was-
wasn't part of the custodial
Well,
contract.
I can answer that quickly. We've got a schedule that I think we touched on a little bit. staffing issues, I think, with JDM, and we just can't allocate.
Do they normally clean the weight, you're talking the weight room down here, right?
Yes, sir. We had a schedule at the beginning of the football season that we could touch it once a week, the locker rooms once a week. But
Yeah, because I didn't know our custodial staff, even if it was JDM, I didn't know that they actually was responsible for that. I always thought that was kind of the coaches and others kind of handled that.
Pick up and, you know, I mean,
It seems
we're
like
we're talking about mopping, we're talking about
Right.
cleaning the area.
Mhm.
And that's not the coach's responsibility.
Right.
Right.
So. you
But
know,
who's done it in the past?
Say that again?
Who's done it in the past? Because I don't think
Curley.
that, huh?
Curly.
Yeah, so that's not Curly's
No,
responsibility,
it's
so,
not, and he
Right.
does it anyway.
yeah.
And when, you know, truth be told, Curly's the one that has kind of scheduled the JDM crews when they should be there. And now we're in a situation where we don't have a lot, or JDM doesn't. Right now, you know, I don't know what that scenario is. We just don't have the manpower to get them there consistently.
I mean, it's another good point, and we'll have a meeting with JDM on.
I bet Curly cleaned the football facility for 10 years straight, if not longer.
Right.
Weekly.
Well, there's really, to be honest, no matter which version you look at, we really never had people as custodians assigned there, which probably isn't the right thing.
Well, it seems to get worse in the spring. And,
Much cleaning. I don't want to.
No, I've been in there.
But
I've been in there before. I've lived it in there for a while. I've seen it.
But there have been several occasions where, last year, for example, we would take spray cans and spray, well, it's like spray hand sanitizer type thing, and we would spray them down and wipe them down to the best of our ability. But of course, the more we use it, the more that's going to amass to buying more and keep that a constant.
Right.
And, you know, it's hard to level that one out.
No, your expectation is proper. Let's see what we
That's
can do
right.
on
Thank
it.
you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't think so. You, all the things starting back up in the school, that things going to suit you?
Things are going great for me and several other students, and if not several, many more. For the football side and the academic side, everything's going great and smooth. Especially being in school, I prefer better because I find virtual to be way harder for me personally, and I know several other students who find that the same way.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And football, it's going great. It's
Okay.
going wonderful. We got a great coach, we got a great brotherhood, everything's going swell.
Good.
And that's everything I have for you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie?
Good job. Awesome. Really proud of you with that.
You trained him well, Charlie.
10. Love it. So, as always, thank you all for your contribution to staff, administration, anything that you do that helps the students grow and achieve more opportunities. So, past events, prom happened this past weekend, and a lot of students were really pleased with the fact that they could be able to have that type of normalcy within school-related and school-affiliated activities. So we thank the hard work that Ms. Weichel and a bunch of others definitely helped out with that, especially April Trail and Julie Bailey planning that together. Senior events are coming up within the last week of May. You got your baccalaureate, senior picnic, graduation, all that good jazz. And it's coming up quick. So we're hoping to have that wonderful weather outside so we can have as many as people as possible. But there are plans set, so in case of weather, each student would be allowed 3 tickets for 3 guests to come in to those events. On Friday, which would be the 14th, we have that will be participating in the cruise drive-through at WCC, where they can pick up their regalia, their count and gap, and their diploma cover because they are graduating with their associate's degree.
cool. Right.
So the time frame with that is between 3 and 7. I think our students have settled around 5-ish, so they can support our graduating college students because it's a great opportunity to go ahead and have that associate degree in college credit as you're going out of high school, and it's something that should definitely be celebrated.
And you said we've got 5 to 6 students that'll be receiving associates?
Yes, so I believe it would be me, Andrew Hill, Gabby Akers, Carrie Havens, Avery Cook, and Kennedy Thomas. I'll double more that will be participating.
That's
in that.
great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, this has been a large group for at least from what I've known. So we're proud that they do receiving 75 away this year. So it's a great achievement for sure. 4-H related, this weekend will be the first face-to-face event that Virginia 4-H has had since the beginning of the pandemic. So teens have registered to talk about social issues and stuff related that are happening within the state, a national level, and stuff that we can bring equity and inclusion within 4-H clubs, and especially any area that would essentially need that sense of dedication. So having everyone being involved and actually getting that push to where you can be in person or virtual, the end of the tunnel, and making that transition to in-person activities. So we're really excited for that. And I believe the last thing I have for you all is basically me for each and every one of you, because I started back through the process of homebound for a while, and really starting in this position, I wondered if I was actually doing it correctly. I always questioned whether if I was helping out the student body, and I've always questioned whether if there would be benefit by the time it would transition to other students. So I'm glad to say that I've loved every single moment that I've served as student representative. I'll definitely come, definitely in the June meeting. I'll definitely come even afterwards watching Mr. Bright and Paige Meyer. I'll definitely come keep my eye out. When
You're on your own, Mr. Bright. You don't have to answer to him no more. So.
But for sure, I've always wanted to help out the student body. I've always wanted to see equity in education and make sure that they are able to find who they want to be when they get out of secondary education, and what possibilities are out there for them. Because not everybody goes to college. There's all these types of tracks and programs that they love. And just being a part of that and their experience, their journey, their stories, it's been amazing. And I thank you all individually to get me into this position and get me to find what I love to do, and that's helping people, serving my community and serving others.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate
Proud
it.
of you, Charlie.
Very proud.
You got any questions, comments, concerns?
No. On the athletic funding, would you be interested in something for every dollar you guys come up with, we match it or something?
Yes.
I'll talk to my coach.
Yes.
Hey, on that question, it's always yes. When
It's
somebody
always
says, I'll
yes.
match, you say, yes, we'll always do that.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you come up with 10, we'll give you 10. So it's always a yes. You never say no to that.
Get you into fundraising programming.
So you
Yeah.
need to figure out what kind of match you're interested in.
Yeah.
I mean,
What you're going to do to get it. And
how much you're gonna come up with, so we know what we gotta do to match it.
Keep your pockets full.
Okay,
we'll find it.
okay,
You,
thank you.
you hurry, too. It's getting close to the end of the year.
That's right.
Okay, school board. We'll start with Philip.
I know I sent this out, but I'm just going to let the rest of the board know. June the 4th, we've got a school law conference. If anybody else wants to attend, great. It'll be here at the board office. And appreciate Ms. Lenore for signing us up for that. I'm excited about a lot of things that we're doing, but I just want to reiterate to everybody across the system that I think communication is key. We've got numerous different platforms that we communicate across. I don't want us to get one-sided to just use Facebook or just Remind. I I know that it's been a while since as a parent I've heard Mr. Mead's voice, as everywhere else has happened, but continue to communicate with all of our stakeholders in the community, let them know what's going on. And I know we're trying to do a better job of that every day. Something that I've been talking to a few folks about and like to put on the agenda for the next meeting is to start talking about for the next coming terms of the school, particularly at our high school, is our scheduling program. We're currently on a 7-period day schedule, and I'd like to look at possibly forming a work group to start looking at a block type schedule to move our high school toward, and just to study it and see if it's something that fits our needs at the moment. I already spoke earlier about the needs of substitutes and how that we need substitutes across the board. So if there's anybody watching us at home tonight, take this opportunity to do a PSA that school bus drivers, substitute teachers are needed. And we would welcome you at any time, whether we're having a class or whether it's convenient to call or talk to anybody or not. Please do, and leave us a message. We'll get back to you. I do have some concerns about JDM. I want to make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to be getting. I know, Mr. Shepherd, you're supposed to be planning a meeting to discuss the feedback that we've garnered from tonight. But with that, that's my comments for this meeting. Oh, and I guess I had one more. Sorry, didn't mean get in front of you, Sharon. The RFP for the paint at the elementary school, did you want me to be there or did you want to be there to do the on-site meeting on the 19th, I think is what we put in there? I assumed I probably would since I wrote it, but if that's okay with you.
If you can do it, that would be great.
I just want to make sure. And you were going to be there?
Sure.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
As always, I just want to give my heartfelt appreciation to everybody, teachers, kids. I know this is a good time for you guys. At the end of school's always hectic. It always has been, but we appreciate everything that you all do and all the hard work that you've put in this year especially. And all the teachers have done double duty all year, and we have a special bunch of teachers who are family, and I just appreciate everybody from the bottom of my heart.
My daughter's a teacher. She's the art teacher there at the high school, and this is her last couple of weeks. And so I appreciate Tyler and all the teachers and everyone at the high school, everybody with the board, all the kids. She has had a very enjoyable experience. It's not the best experience to come into. This year has not been the best thing to learn to be a teacher, but she has enjoyed it. She's talked highly of all the teachers, everyone that she has had the opportunity to work with, and the kids. It's something that she's enjoyed. It's something I kind of talked her, and I didn't talk her into, but I tried to guide her, give her an idea of what it was like to be a teacher and to help kids, and that's what she's wanted to do in her life. She's wanted to make a difference in kids' lives and stuff. That's, she enjoys the teacher's part, but she enjoys the interaction with the kids and trying to be a help to them. So I appreciate that. And appreciate everything that all the board and the board office has done, and all the other board members do. That these guys do a lot in the background, and I appreciate them. And Mr. Mead, appreciate you. I know you don't feel good. He's had a tough week. He had to go see his baby girl graduate law school and stuff, and he was sickly and made it back here. But I appreciate all you do too. So I know you're not feeling good. So
thank you. Anybody
speedy
needs a
recovery.
good lawyer, let me know.
Any time in life that you have to go through something very traumatic, such as has happened with the COVID, and that it's upended everybody's life, you always hope that something comes out of it that's good. And I think on some of the things we discussed tonight, there will be some positives. It's forced people to look at education in a new way, look at new opportunities, new ways of working together, and I think there could be some very positive things. So that's what I hope we remember out of this. Okay, with that, we'll go to the action agenda. First action item is to approve the payments. Were there any questions on any of the payments?
I did not.
I didn't have any.
Okay, if I could have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the payments.
Second. Here,
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Ms. Beckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Okay, O&M projects, a few things going on. We're replacing the heat pump at the office in the high school, doing the sound room at the high school, of course, of the heating cooling system at the elementary school, which is a very major project. And of course, we'll be using the high school and the fact that we have to have facilities available during the summer. The room, which I think is somewhat being deemed a early childhood school, is getting very close, and we hope to have a ribbon cutting on that before too long. Hopefully we can get a date established for that and get an article in the paper and show just all the things that are there that will support these children and their needs, and I think it's really coming out great, so I'm very proud of that. And like I say, we've got a meeting Monday to try and come up with the schedule. We've got to triple the amount of power that comes into the elementary school, and basically are impacting every classroom and every hallway, trying to get this power to these new heat pump type units. Next item is the
On the O&M, we wanted to talk about the locks.
Oh yeah, the locks.
Yeah. So I think there was some concern about, as far as, we've discussed this over I think several times over the past couple of years, about how many keys are floating around, how many keys it takes to get into the schools and stuff. And I think it's becoming a safety issue as far as how many keys it takes to get around into something like the elementary school. I don't know about the high school, how many different keys you have, but I know to that back gym, to the back door at the gym, there's a lot of the copies of that key that's around. And I know at the elementary school that, just between so-and-so got one from so-and-so so they could play ball on Saturday nights or whatever. I partook in that before, so I know they're out there. But I think we need to start looking at, seriously, maybe doing some, at the elementary school, maybe start, or we can start at the high school, whatever, but doing some.
Well, since we're going through the elementary school, it might be a good time to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think the thing, and Mr. Grimm, I'm going to ask you a question, see if you're comfortable with something, but if you're talking about locks, you need a scheme, okay? And I'll use a hotel. Everybody has a key to their room, but there's also one key that unlocks every room. But there are keys that at times we need to give out to coaches or volunteers and those type of things. And that needs to kind of be a separate door with a separate set of keys, so that every so often we take that lock out and throw it away. Do you think you could rough out a scheme as to take a picture of the school and say, okay, these are the rooms, I want to a master key, I want this door to be to a key that gets renewed ever so often, and kind of come out with a scheme that we could present to a locksmith company?
And Tyler, do the same thing with the high school. Go ahead and start that process as well.
Yeah.
Kind of get an idea of what the pricing is. It's going to be expensive. It's not something that's cheap. So, and is it something that, key-wise, would we want to give one to the schools, to the sheriff's department? Is that something that we would do, or?
I think so, but I think there should probably be 2 doors in the school, so that, if there should be a fire, you got an option.
Right.
And we rekey those doors every so often,
Yeah,
because
right.
there's no
The main
way
doors.
when you give keys to various people, it's kind of like, going to a locksmith and say, I want 24 of these keys, and the
Right.
guy says, why do you even put a lock on the door?
Yeah, exactly, right, yeah.
Those master keys should be less than 5.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
And
We, whenever I was at Radford, in order to get a master key for a building, you had to put your personal key in and make a turn so you could get the master out. So anytime somebody went looking for the master, they know whose key was in there and who got the master out.
if you want to help Mr. Grimm in coming up with a scheme if
Yeah,
you,
I can do it.
but, you know, just going to a locksmith and saying we want to rekey,
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
that's not what we need. We need to say, this is the scheme we'd like, and these keys, we know we're not going to be able to control rigidly, so we'll rekey those doors every so often. But all the classrooms, the offices, those kind of things, we should be able to have a master key and individual keys.
A suggestion maybe for the gym door, something that when I was principal I thought about and even talked to Denise about, I think, was if we could have a fob entrance at the back gym door at the elementary, then coaches could be given a fob and it could be controlled.
Changed.
In what part of the year
Right.
they have access to the building.
That would be great, so whatever. I mean, I think you can get input from several people, and once we get a scheme, we'll go to a locksmith and get a bid out. Is that good then?
Yep.
Okay. Narcan, sorry you've had to wait so long.
Yeah.
We want to do the right thing, tell us what the right thing is. If you wouldn't mind, go, because if anybody's still awake out there, we're
Yeah,
still
can you
broadcasting.
face the camera so everybody can see you, please? We would like for you to face the camera.
Well, I'm not touching the podium because everybody else is.
She is the
Everybody else
nurse.
has hugged the podium.
I'm sorry, I'm the nurse. Mainly, it was just an opportunity I saw for the high school. It is a free product that we would not have to pay for. It is for the event of a potential overdose that would occur on school grounds. And Larissa Hunt, the nurse at the high school, she's on board with me as well, that it could prevent a possibility of something occurring that you wouldn't want to occur. The county, as far as drug usage, is not high, but the potential for a child to come in with grandma or grandpa's medicine is very high. So mainly I was just searching for, I'm sorry, I get nervous when I speak. Searching for a good thing for us to do that we can work with together to possibly save someone in the event this happens. We need a policy that's written by you all. I gave you the little 3-page.
Mhm.
On the top of the third page, it'll give you just descriptions of what the policy possibly could be or what we would need. Larissa and I would have to attend a training session for this, which if we was in the hospital setting, we wouldn't have to do at all. But since we're in the school setting, we would have to do it. The VDOE adopted this in 2019, so we would be on almost up to the date instead of lagging behind in the healthcare part. But that's mainly it. Just wanting the approval for us to go ahead with the training. That's possibly going to be free or low cost with some of the people that I know.
Is that something that they can write the policy on? You guys want to write that policy and bring it to us for
Larissa
adoption?
and I both could work together to do that,
Yeah,
yes.
if you would.
And there's guidance as far as from the Department of Health, and Dr. Shelton was very much for it. So, Dr. Shelton for the Mount Rogers Health
Right.
District.
And it would be at the high school, right?
It would be located at the high school, yes.
And it's locked up, I'm sure.
Now, we've not had this drug in the schools before, right?
I think we did.
Not that I'm aware of with a policy, no.
Yeah. I
But-
thought we had some that it had expired.
Not that I'm aware of with a policy.
Okay.
Okay.
We need the policy.
Right.
Okay, so what's the proper wording for a motion? What do you want us to do?
Just agreement that Larissa and I can go ahead and seek the proper training for the school, and that we can develop the policy with approval from the board after it is written, and that it would be based with our AED.
And agreement to bring the drug in-house after the training.
Yes, and
Training is yearly, and the standing order is every 2 years. So it's
Okay.
just like epi that
Yeah.
we keep
We
for
know you got all that.
allergic reactions.
Yeah.
Hit it, Lenore.
Yeah,
Maggie's got it?
yeah.
Maggie's
I'll make
got
the
it.
motion to allow Miss Kathy and Miss Larissa, or Nurse Kathy and Nurse Larissa to develop the policy for our approval and for them to attend the training. And then once that's done, then we can then approve the drug to be brought in. So.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Mr. Petrie?
4.
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Four. Okay, you said on the Constitution you wanted to wait till the next meeting. Okay. So we'll table item D. Surrogate parents, if everybody's had a chance to look at that, we need a motion to approve those individuals.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 individuals.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Four. Personnel recommendations, was that the personnel list for, okay, at this point, we're approving the personnel list, which will receive contracts for this upcoming school year. So if I could have a motion to do that?
Make a motion to approve personnel listing.
Second.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Mr. Shepherd?
Need to approve the 2021-22 salary scales, which were included in the budget, which we have already approved.
Make a motion to approve salary scales for 21-22.
Second.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Need a motion to agree to, for employee A to receive donated days.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Petrie? Mr. Shepherd?
4. And I think that brings us to adjournment, if we
Yep.
can have a motion.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. And it's dark outside.
4.
We were long-winded today.
Tricked you, didn't she?
She did. No, I was just waiting. I was being patient. Patience.
It's a virtue.
Appreciate everybody
Thank
being
you.
here, and it was a little bit long, but hopefully it was entertaining.
Y'all turn that camera off, I'll make it.